The aviation industry remains one of the most dynamic sectors in the world. It is reputed as the safest in transporting people from one end of the world to another. The industry is regulated globally by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. ICAO is a specialized agency of the United Nations created in 1944 to promote the safe and orderly development of international civil aviation throughout the world. The organization serves as a forum for cooperation in all fields of civil aviation amongst its over 190 contracting states. Through its articles and annexes, it sets standards, regulations, and recommended practices necessary for aviation safety, security, efficiency, and environmental protection. In October 2005, ICAO took proactive action on the aviation front after the SARS epidemic. It requested participating governments of the ICAO to commence aviation-related pandemic preparedness, planning and response to public health emergencies which affect the aviation sector. This gave rise to the ICAO initiative known as Cooperative Arrangement for the Prevention of the Spread of Communicable Disease through Air Travel, CAPSCA. The CAPSCA project is an effort to provide a unified global defense mechanism to ensure that containment measures exist for pandemic preparedness. This is a global response. CAPSCA provides seminars and workshops on preparedness planning. It arranges assistance visits to international airports by aviation and public health experts so as to facilitate training of aviation and health professionals involved in contingency planning in the aviation sector. During these visits, preparedness plans which have been developed locally or nationally are reviewed and improvements suggested. When an aircraft arrives with a suspected case of a communicable disease of public health importance, CAPSCA will make sure that you have thought about what you are going to do, know how you are going to do it, know how to deal with the luggage, understand how to keep in touch with passengers who have not yet shown symptoms, and how all airport stakeholders will coordinate and take the most appropriate action under any given condition. Pandemic preparedness is multifaceted, requiring collaboration from the public, health and aviation sectors, which also includes immigration, customs, baggage handling and other service providers.
How long has this been on? How many times have you been to the toilet? 3 times.
The cabin crew will look out for the signs or symptoms of a communicable disease on board. These are fever of 38 degrees centigrade or greater and one or more of the following signs and symptoms: appearing obviously unwell, persistent coughing, impaired breathing, persistent diarrhea, persistent vomiting, skin rash, bruising or bleeding without previous injury, confusion of recent onset. As a control measure, the cabin crew will inform the pilot in command of a suspected case of a communicable disease of public health importance on board.
Please manage your captain's ticket. To us to enjoy the flight, however, I need to update you on a situation that's developing in the cabin. I've just been advised by the purser that we have a a medical condition on board. The patient is being attended to as the cabin crew are trained to handle such a situation. We ask you to please remain calm. There's nothing to worry about. Please follow further instructions that will be given by the cabin crew.
What is this for?
Well, just for the authorities in Lagos, persons in Lagos, because of the so many situation we have on board right now.
But why are you giving some people and you're not giving others?
Well, we're actually giving it to others because it's the closest to the actual station.
Is there any particular reason for it?
Well, it's safety regulations demand that we give it to passengers seated close to the central zone.
I'll fill it.
Thank you.
The pilot will then communicate with en route ATC as follows: aircraft identification, departure aerodrome, destination aerodrome, estimated time of arrival, number of persons on board, number of suspected case or cases on board, nature of public health risk if known, and on board the cabin crew will adopt the following safety procedures.
Lagos Tower, this is Virgin Nigeria 048.
Yes, go ahead, 048.
Virgin Nigeria 048, we have a medical emergency on board. We have a passenger that is very, very sick and she's being looked after by the cabin crew. However, we request for medical assistance on arrival.
Passengers leaving the tarmac would go through normal immigration, customs and baggage handling procedures.
And that's your passport. Thank you. Thank you. Ah, my passport. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Your name?
Your name, please. I learned that you've been having fever. Since when has fever started? What other problems do you have? You cough? Any what the problem? Are you okay? okay? So that we can assert it. All right, exactly. And then we will watch it better. I'm sure it goes very well. All we are doing is to impress
What will I do? Because I'm going in the midst of people. What will I do? Because I want to go and meet my people, and I have already. I sat near this person. Are you sure these people in my house will not contact this disease? That is why I have to
There are a few mistakes from the video which you need to guard against in the future. 1. There was no announcement by the cabin crew over the public address system for medical assistance by a qualified medical personnel, which is a standard procedure when you have an ill passenger on board. 2. The way in which a pilot makes an announcement to the passengers is very important. The intent is not to scare the passengers on board. The pilot must be very careful in the amount of information he shares with the passengers. In this case, the pilot's announcement would have scared passengers on board and created more problems for the cabin crew. 3. Passenger situational awareness of the cabin crew was not very high. A. She did not notice that there were empty seats close to the toilet assigned to the index case. B. Seat in the index case on one of the empty seats would have prevented the following: index case touching the aircraft seats on and from her way to the seat, thereby increasing the risk of spreading the infection. Index case handling her soiled tissues over the heads of passengers to and from the toilet. 4. There did not seem to be a procedure of handling of soiled items by the index case. The airline has to put in a procedure for the use of the biohazard bag, which is a component of the Universal Precaution Kit. 5. The announcement of the cabin crew at point of disembarkation was confusing. Announcements have to be short and precise to include the following components. No need to scare passengers on board about the index case. Simply explain that passengers who have not been given cards will disembark first, and cabin crew will then inform the remaining passengers on the method of disembarkation. 2 rows in front, back and side are the ones taken for further screening. 6. Public authorities need to determine the level of personal protective equipment that is to be worn, so there is no excessive use of personal protective equipment. 7. Cleaning. It is important that when cleaning cabin interior after disembarkation of all passengers and index case, port health and airport operators must be conversant of the right kind of disinfection agent to be used. This should be done in line with the specification of airline manufacturers. Household bleach should not be used. Sodium hypochlorite. 8. Holding area. It is important to ensure that the holding area is accessible, close to the terminal building and in close proximity with the terminal building clinic. The assignment of tasks by public health officials in the holding area needs to be well defined. For example, there must be a procedure for the collection of passenger locator cards.
What's the brief intro about what you've come to do in Nigeria?
We were at a meeting here in Nigeria for the cooperative arrangement for the prevention of spread of communicable disease through air travel, or CAPSCA, the CAPSCA project. This is designed to help states and organizations to manage the spread of communicable disease and to reduce the spread of communicable disease, and in fact also other problems, public health issues that could become potentially a public health emergency. The idea of CAPSCA is to bring different stakeholders together, such as the public health sector and the aviation sector, to get them to communicate and collaborate and develop a satisfactory plan which will help to minimize the risks from public health emergencies.
What does your role entail, sir, in relation to CAPSCA?
I'm the project manager of the CAPSCA project. So my main role is to bring different stakeholders together, to allow them to communicate and collaborate at meetings such as the one that we've been having here in Abuja, so that they can understand each other's roles. It sounds quite a simple thing to be able to communicate across different organizations, between different organizations, but in fact it's quite challenging.
All right. What are the major challenges CAPSCA is having?
So the challenge for CAPSCA is to get officials working in different organizations to communicate with each other. Usually a public health official, for example, will not speak in their day-to-day activities with somebody working in civil aviation, say the Civil Aviation Authority or an aircraft operator or an airport operator. They work in different areas, and the idea of CAPSCA is to bring them together at meetings such as the CAPSCA meeting which we've been having here in Abuja, and help them understand each other's point of view, so that when they develop their plan, they will be able to make sure that it's harmonized. The different plans in the different areas are harmonized with each other.
All right. Then, what are the measures since CAPSCA was established in 2005 that is put in place to combat outbreak of epidemics?
So the idea of CAPSCA is to ensure that different organizations, different stakeholders have considered the question of public health emergency planning. We've provided a lot of guidelines, and indeed there are some standards and recommended practice in the aviation sector ICAO has produced. There's also the WHO International Health Regulations, so there's quite a lot of requirements and indeed guidelines to help individuals and organizations implement a preparedness plan. So the CAPSCA project helps people initially to develop their plan and then encourages them to undertake exercises to test the plan, so that they're confident that should a public health emergency such as another pandemic occur, then they'll be ready to respond in an appropriate way.